Strange to think in all these years have never actually met Tony's brother. Is he cool? The man's a damn nightmare, Hawkeye, but he's 10 times smarter than Tony is and completely amoral. Did you know that Tony Stark has an older brother, a man so brutal and brilliant that he scares even the majority of Marvel heroes? We are in Marvel's Ultimate Universe, where Nick Fury has just lost his job as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Captain America has gone rogue after discovering that the villain Red Skull is actually his long-lost son to deal with the situation. Carol Danvers, now the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D., realizes she will need help, so she rehires Fury, who agrees to work with her, and begins assembling a new squad of heroes to help him stop Captain America, and one of them is Mr. Stark. Project Avengers is active again. The hunt for Cap our immediate priority. Dr. Stark, if you don't mind. Excuse me, sir. Mr. Stark is my embarrassing little brother. Fury meets with him at the airport as Gregory instantly begins complaining about his flight, instructing his assistant to trash the jet and buy him a new one for his trip back. Hawkeye asks if he wants a drink to relax, just like his brother would, but Gregory simply says it's 9 a.m., calls Hawkeye a degenerate, and asks if he's an alcoholic. He then begins roasting his brother, telling Hawkeye that the two of them are nothing alike and instructs them to stop wasting his time and go meet the new Avengers. They arrive at headquarters where Gregory tells them he has already recruited some heroes like War Machine and the new Black Widow, but then he says he did something Tony would never do because of his morals, and that's when we see, holy fuck, you have got to be kidding me. They then see the Hulk being operated on as Gregory explains that this isn't the real Hulk, but one engineered from Banner's stem cells, a Hulk who's fully intelligent. He tells Fury and Hawkeye to call him Nerd Hulk. But just when it seems like things couldn't get any creepier, they see a being who looks like Spider-Man who instantly begins insulting Hawkeye as Gregory tells them, don't engage with it. It can drive a man to suicide in 3 or 4 exchanges. One of the technicians slit his wrists only last week. Hey, sensitive soul, what the hell is this? Trust me, Nicky boy, you do not want to know. So the new Avengers begin their mission to track down Captain America and kill Red Skull, with Fury leading them and Gregory staying behind the lines. With heroes like Nerd Hulk, the being known simply as Spider, Petra Laskov, also known as the Red Wasp, Monica Chang, better known as Black Widow, a very different and far more brutal war machine than his Earth 616 counterpart Hawkeye, and others staying on the front lines. While Gregory keeps updating their gear, supplying them with weapons the world has never seen. But once again, Gregory shows his brutality by installing a nuclear weapon in War Machine's armor in case their mission fails, and he even decides to use it in the final confrontation against Red Skull. However, Captain America manages to stab Red Skull before Gregory can detonate it, saving everyone and finally stopping him. But after the mission is done, Gregory doesn't back down, as he tries to obtain more and more power while still being himself, not afraid to call Carol Danvers stupid to her face, and even meeting his brother Tony as their clashes with one another keep growing. But after some time, everything changes because Gregory Stark tries to outsmart everyone and decides to reshape global power by himself using his intelligence, manipulation, lies, and other people. He begins turning people against each other, heroes against other heroes, even makes his little brother, Thor, Cap, and others believe that Fury has betrayed both them and his country. As his power continues to rise, Gregory manages to take over the leadership of S.H.I.E.L.D. and becomes his brother's boss. He then kidnaps Fury without the others knowing, and when Fury asks why a billionaire like him would want to run S.H.I.E.L.D., Gregory explains, because Tony and I are playing a far grander game than you could ever understand. He designs a car, so I design a rocket. He becomes a millionaire, so I become a billionaire. He buys his way into the superhero community, and so I have to be the man who tells the superheroes what to do. It's been this way from the moment we were born, Tony and I, just like making things interesting for one another. Gregory then reveals that he intends to use super soldiers and advanced weapons to support pro-democracy forces abroad, ultimately forcing those countries to align with American power. He then kills Fury, explaining that all of this was nothing personal and that Gregory simply had to take Fury's place to gain more power for his plans. As the heroes begin noticing the revolutions beginning to happen, Captain asks the others why they are not doing anything about it, while they explain that Gregory instructed everyone to leave these revolutions alone. While they are talking, we see a flashback to Nick Fury 5 days earlier, where we find out that he, Blade, Punisher, Hawkeye, and War Machine uncovered Gregory's plans a long time ago and managed to steal pills from a gangster and scientist named Tyrone Cash. These pills contain the Hulk serum that granted its consumer Hulk-like strength without any psychological side effects. So before their meeting, Fury ingested some of them, and that's why now. And that's when we see him, Hawkeye, Punisher, and the others looking like Hulks. But when they surround him, Gregory begins making fun of them, and he calls them idiots, reminds them that he is Tony Stark's brother, and explains that he managed to build himself a force field. And as he begins beating them, we see Gregory's so-called pro-democratic soldiers in North Korea attacking their military, with Gregory's other creations leading the super soldiers as the same uprising begins happening in Iran. As Thor and the others watch the footage from these countries, Captain says that they have to do something now, so Tony contacts his brother, who tells him that this is not an external attack and that these revolutions are happening simply because people are tired of their leadership. This is insane. We can't just stand here and do nothing. Who do we support, Thor? The freedom fighters or the communist dictatorship? She's right. This isn't a black and white situation. Do we prop up the Korean government or stand back and watch rebel groups level an entire city? We don't have the authority to make a decision like this. I can't believe I'm hearing this. Cap, you're the strategist. What do you suggest we do? I don't know, Dr. Lang. For the first time in my life, I have absolutely no idea. The fighting continues as we see the super soldiers easily destroying the militaries. Spider instructs the soldiers to retreat, telling them that people are tired of living under these regimes. But that's when he looks up and Spider tells them that they just broke a bunch of international laws. But Captain explains that they found out what is really happening and that Gregory Stark is the one to blame. When Spider asks how they found out about all of this, we see Fury's hoked out team standing nearby telling him that they revealed everything. Gregory gets informed that Tony and the others found out about his plan, so Gregory simply tells Fury. A big battle begins as Gregory shows up and tells everyone that he is not some kind of supervillain. He instructs the others to look at the bigger picture, but Thor quickly throws his hammer at him and Gregory strikes Cap, telling him that he is simply trying to bring democracy here and make S.H.I.E.L.D. global. But Scott Lang, better known as Giant Man, tells him that it is clear he is not doing this for the people, but simply because he is trying to take over the world. Tony blasts him and calls his brother weird, but Greg gets up and begins punching Tony, calling him a jackass and telling him that this is the biggest mistake he has ever made. As Tony falls, Gregory tells him to get out of his way and says that only then will he spare his little brother. But when Tony refuses, "You think that's going to stop me? Your stupid little 4.0 armor. I've got 10 years on anything you're packing in there, weapons you don't even have a name for yet." But that's when Tony reveals his new invention. Gregory gets shocked as Tony explains that he just used an electromagnetic pulse to shut down the electricity in a 10-mile radius for 15 seconds so the others can quickly act. But Tony looks at his brother burning alive, yelling at Thor that he only wanted him knocked out as he keeps screaming and swearing. Time goes by and we see politicians at the White House talking about Iran, telling others that it looks like the freedom fighters are going to win the war. And finally, in the final panels, we see Fury telling Carol Danvers that you hear about Tony's brother, they switched the machine off this morning. Those boys had the strangest, most messed up relationship I have saw, but behind all the bitching and competition, I really believe they loved one another.